Weather Channel, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is the Weather Channel. How do you hear me?
Well, I've got you loud and clear. Sounds good.
Okay, well, good morning. All right, here we go. Our guest left Earth in May of this year, beginning a 6-month mission aboard the ISS. Besides his astronaut duties, he's also become a social media sensation for his breathtaking pictures of both the planet and space. We're talking about Reed Wiseman, and he joins us now from his orbit above the Earth. Hello, Reed.
Hey, it's great to talk to you today. I hope you're doing well down there.
Doing fantastic. I understand you had your first spacewalk, and you also took your first in-orbit selfie. Can you tell us about
that? Sure. So 3 days ago now, I went out with my German crewmate, Alex Gerst, and it was our first time for both of us. And we were outside for about a little over 6 hours, and we knocked out all of our primary tasks. Really, the view from just having a little 2 millimeters of plexiglass between me and outer space was absolutely insanity the entire time. And really a little scared going into it, but once we got outside, everything felt great, really comfortable. The training was super, and it was just a lot of fun.
Well, obviously, you have to combine a little bit of work and play. Now, you've taken some amazing pictures up in space. What inspired you to get into the social media side of being in orbit?
Well, it's a great capability that we have these days, and I'm one of the very few rookie long-duration space flyers. There's going to be more in the coming years here, but I just wanted to try to share the sensation of coming onto the International Space Station for a 6-month stint as my first space flight. And the view out the window is incredible. Floating is amazing. And all these weird experiences, these are the things that kids kind of think about when they're growing up and they see an astronaut. So I wanted to try to get those across, and hopefully it was successful.
I think it's been very successful. I have to ask you about a couple of your posts. One was really one of our favorites here at the Weather Channel. It was from the other day when you had a certain typhoon, big typhoon out in the Pacific. You said you haven't seen many. You've seen many, but really nothing quite like that.
So I had gotten a few emails from friends, and they were talking about this typhoon, and my brother and his family live over in that area. So I had a little bit more interest in this one than I normally would, just because I have family there. So I went down to the cupola to take a look when we were going to overfly this super typhoon, and it covered my entire view. And the eye of the storm was so perfectly well defined, you could just look right down on Earth through the eye. And I just never have seen something that was so enormous and yet so perfectly formed in a typhoon. So really just absolutely amazing.
I got to ask you, when it comes to some of your shot selection, do you have a plan? Like you had a great shot of the Milky Way the other day. Do you have an idea of what you're searching for, or do you just kind of take pictures of whatever catches your eye?
It's what my dad always used to tell me. It's better to be lucky than good. And when you have a canvas of our incredible Earth down there, you can just roll to the cupola at any time, pick up a camera, and take 10 or 15 photos. And I guarantee one of them is going to be absolutely fantastic. So that's really what I do. I just go down there, try some different settings, goof around, and the Earth or the stars, they provide all the material.
Now, recently you had some amazing images, some video, in fact, of an aurora. That must have been spectacular.
Well, we've been getting some really good auroras. They come and go, and what's great about the last few weeks is we've been synchronized on the northern auroras, nighttime up in the northern hemisphere. And when you are up here looking out the cupola windows, that's the windows that we have. It's a great viewing area. And really, you're just swimming through this like green ocean of weaving light, almost snaking around you. And sometimes you'll see big loops that come up, and they seem like they're reaching out to touch you. And it really is, it's indescribably beautiful.
I can only imagine. Now, I got to ask you about back on Earth. What we're seeing in terms of the Atlantic has been a very quiet hurricane season, and one of the big blames people have is because of the dry Saharan air, the dust that comes out across the Atlantic. Have you been able to see some of that firsthand?
I've thrown a few photos online, and one day I remember maybe about a month ago, we were coming over Brazil, and the whole skyline almost looked brown. It was like, it just looked dirty to me. And I was there with my buddy Alex, and Alex said, hey, you know what? That might be sands from the Sahara. And I was scratching my head. I'm like, there's no way that sands from the Saharan desert can blow all the way across the Atlantic and cover Brazil. And sure enough, our orbit was from Brazil heading north, and we crossed over the Sahara, and no kidding, that was the origin. We traced these sands from Brazil all the way over, and it wasn't just a little bit of sand. It covered the whole sky from our view. Really, really incredible.
That's an amazing thing, and what a great connection you have with people here on Earth with those great images, with that video. When it comes to that interaction with social media, does it make your time at the ISS seem a bit less lonely?
Well, we have 6 people up here, and it's never lonely for us. It's always fun. We have group dinners. There's a lot of socializing, and I can email with my family. But there is something a little special about the social media, and what it's done is it keeps me interested in looking outside. It keeps me going, trying to find new things. And as long as you stay a little curious, you're going to find those new discoveries, those new sites that you hadn't thought to look at for yourself. So it's really kept me motivated to continue with the photography throughout the entire mission.
2 more quick questions, and the first one is going to be, you're coming towards the end of your time up in space. What are you going to miss most about this incredible experience?
I think I'm going to miss just about everything. I can't wait to get home and see my family and eat normal food and sleep in a bed. But this is so great up here. Sure, there's tough days that we don't want to repeat, but overall, this is just a magnificent experience.
Last question, very quickly. What can you not wait to eat when you get back to Earth? What is the first thing you're going to eat when you get back stateside?
Oh, that's a great question. First, I would say everything. And then one of my good friends, Steve Swanson, who just went home, he said, be careful, because when you first land, you're probably not going to want to eat much of anything, because you'll feel too great. But I just want a soda and a pizza. I know that I probably shouldn't say that, but that is really what I want. I want some carbonation, and I just want a nice warm pizza. That would be wonderful.
Fair enough, and certainly well earned. Thanks so much for your time. All best to you and the crew high up in orbit. Thank you so much.
Take care. Thank you. See ya.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the Weather Channel portion of the event. Please stand by for YouTube questions.
My name is Emily Hartley, and I'm from Weatherford, Oklahoma. I go to school at Southwestern Oklahoma State University. And my question for you is, what is your favorite thing about being in space?
Oh, I can't answer that with just one answer. I would say, without a doubt, floating is just absolutely fantastic. So to be up here and have slipped away from gravity, at least the way I feel it, it's fantastic. And then, without a doubt, getting to look down on our beautiful planet, that just captivates you every single time you do it. So I would say number 1 is looking down at Earth.
Hello, my name is Niall and I'm 13. My question is, would it be beneficial to study to become a pilot in preparation for being an astronaut?
That's a great question. The Astronaut Corps is a group of a very diverse set of people. So we have engineers, scientists, school teachers, pilots, researchers, you name it. We have someone from that profession, and that's what makes our Corps really great. When we go out to do abnormal things, we always have someone that can answer the question. Now, for me personally, I was a pilot, and I would say if you have desires to do that, go do it, because it's an incredibly fun job.
Mr. Wiseman, my name is Ruby Grace Miller, and I live in Oklahoma. And my question is, can you see Disney World from outer space?
Well, that's a great question. So with my own eye, I cannot see amusement parks. I can see cities okay, and you can sometimes see an airport if it's a big airport, but we have some fantastic cameras up here, and this right here is a 400 millimeter zoom lens. And when I look through this camera, if we're over Florida, I can see the amusement parks. So it's nice to look down on those.
Hi, we're librarians from the Seattle Public Library. Maybe you saw us this morning when you flew over at 5:48. We were all waving to you.
So you've seen the world in a way few of us have. Can you tell us about a book that also changed the way you viewed the world?
Thank you. Thank
you.
Bye.
That's a great question. So let me start with the book that really changed me. I wasn't much of a reader as a kid growing up, unfortunately, but right when I hit about my teenage years, there was a book that had just come out on the bestseller list, and my dad gave it to me when we were on vacation, and it was called Jurassic Park. And that book, for me, it just changed the way I felt about books, and it also changed the way my imagination worked. And so as I read through that book, that was really the first book I read as a kid, and it changed me. I got to the last page of that book, I turned right back to the first page, and I read that whole book again. And it really just brought the wonder of reading into me. And every night when I go to bed, my bedroom's right back there, I have a book, and that's how I spend about a half an hour before I go to sleep. So I love reading. It's a daily activity for me.
Hello, I'm Brandon from Phoenix, Arizona, also known by my amateur radio call sign KF7RAO. My question is, what do you think about the amateur radio on the ISS program? I think it's a great program for young students to learn about amateur radio and space. Thank you.
Oh, I think it is a great system. So if I just floated back that way and then made a right turn, that's where we have our amateur radio system over in the European segment. And let me just tell you about my first experience with that in space. I got an email that there was going to be a field day over the United States. And they said, hey, if you want to try to make contact from space, this would be a great first way to make contact. So it was a Saturday afternoon. I went down to the Columbus module. I powered up the ham radio, and I made one call as we went over California. And for the next 15 to 20 minutes, I couldn't get another call out because there was just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of amateur radio folks calling up to me. And it was great. It was so much fun that I went back and did it a few more times. And now I do it about once a week. So I think ham radio is great. It's a great way for kids to learn about science, technology, and, of course, about the space station. So I'm all for it.
Hi, people of NASA. I'm Abby Warhus.
I'm Jack Russell Rose.
And we're from Carbondale, Illinois. And we were wondering, when you first arrived at the International Space Station, were there any things that you encountered that you didn't originally anticipate?
And then being in the space station for about 4 months, are there things that still surprise you?
Thanks so much. Bye. Thanks so much. Bye.
So that's a great question. When I first got here, what was unexpected? I would have to say everything, absolutely everything. I thought I knew what it would be like to look down at Earth from 250 miles up. I thought I knew what it would be like to just float around, but I had no idea. And so when I first got here, I was really scared because there was just so many new experiences. My body couldn't soak them all up quick enough. Now that I've been here for 4 months, this feels natural to me. Floating is great. It makes everything easier, except eating small candies, peanuts, chocolate-coated or candy-coated chocolates. That's always difficult. But aside from that, it's really super up here in weightlessness.
Hello, my name is Kyla Reisenhofer from Hydra, Oklahoma. When you were in school, was there a teacher that inspired you to be who you are today?
I had a lot of great teachers growing up, and there were a few in high school that were inspirational. But the thing that teachers really did for me when I was a kid especially is they just kept me going down the correct path. And if I started to deviate, they would try to just nudge me back in. And for that, I have to give them a huge thank you. I ended up loving science, and it was really just because of some of the nudges that those teachers gave me. And then I went on to college and in the U.S. Navy and now at NASA. And really, if I look back, I owe it all to those middle and high school teachers. Thank you, guys.
Hi, my name is Chelsea Mawson, and I'm from Weatherford, Oklahoma. And my question is, what is one piece of advice you would give to students dreaming of becoming involved in NASA's space program?
Well, if it's a dream to become involved in NASA's space program, I say pursue it. If that's something you want to do, you got to reach out there and try to grab that dream. And so NASA, it's not just 6 astronauts up on the space station. It's control centers around the world, flight control teams, engineering support. And so there are thousands of people working to make this dream come true for us up here. And if we can have more folks coming in with new, fresh ideas, definitely go for it.
Hello, my name is Lila, and I live on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., and I'm 6 years old. And my question is, I'm wondering to know, is there any aliens in space?
One of my favorite questions. So I have not seen any aliens. Some people have said I'm an alien, but I don't think I am. Let me just tell you this. When we go around the backside of the Earth, so the Earth is blocking the sun, and we have true darkness up here, and I look out at the stars, there are so many stars out there, and you have to think each star has a few planets orbiting around it. And there is no way we are alone. There has to be something else out there. And there may be even in our solar system around the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, or markers of life previously on Mars. So to me, this is the great human adventure of let's get out there and find this.
Hi, Astronaut Wise Man. My name is Leo, and I'm from Houston, Texas. And my question to you is, what are the discoveries that you have done in the ISS, or what discoveries are you planning to do while being in the ISS in the time you have left? Thank you.
So that's a great question. As an astronaut up here, I am really an operator. So there are experiments going on all around me right now, even though I'm not touching them. We have a glove box set up for some activities tomorrow. We have some flame research that's going on here. We have Robonaut over here. This is a cardiovascular checkout system for my health and to see how my body's adapting. So really, my job up here is to implement the science that the investigators on the Earth want me to. So I'm sure there have been great discoveries. I can tell you every time I play with water, that's always a great discovery. And we've done some stuff back in the Japanese segment in the last 2 or 3 weeks. They're going to have amazing discoveries. But all that data's got to get down to the ground. All the smart people have to crunch it. And then in the end, who knows? Maybe there will be a cure for some terrible disease, and everybody will celebrate.
My name is Zoe, and I live in Arizona. I want to know how I can be an astronaut.
Oh, I think the question was how to become an astronaut. I would say the path is study hard, find something that you absolutely love doing, and just try to be a good person, try to listen well, and who knows where your life will take you.
Hi, my name is Manuel. I'm from Illinois, and my question for you is, what was the scariest thing that happened to you when you were in space?
What's the scariest thing that's happened to me in space? I got to be honest on this answer. I think about a month ago when I heard that I was going to do a spacewalk with my crewmate Alex, that was probably the scariest day for me up here. I've never done one. I'm a little bit scared of heights. And when I thought about going out that hatch, I had no idea how would I react. Would I freeze up? Would I do well? Would I make some mistakes? But I can tell you we're really well trained for that. And so all my fears were almost pointless. As soon as we got in the airlock and opened the hatch to go outside, training took over, and we just had the most fun you could possibly. That was the greatest experience of my life right there a couple days ago doing a spacewalk.
Hello, Reed. This is Click from San Francisco. My question is, what part of the Earth has been impacted the most by humans, in your opinion, that you've seen? Either the water or the land, someplace where you can look down and say, wow, you can definitely see the influence that people have had on this landscape or in this part of the world. Thank you.
Very good question. So as we go around the planet, you can see quite a bit. You can definitely see cities, no doubt. When you're flying over a really populated city, it just kind of looks like a smudge. If you get out a nice big lens, you can see the streets and stuff. And then also all the farmlands, you can see how structured farming is, especially out in deserts where we've done irrigation. But the thing that really strikes me is dams. You can spot a dam instantly from up here. You can see the river turn into a lake, turn into a reservoir, and turn back into a river. Those are just so clear. And there are thousands all over the world. There's not a part of this world that doesn't have a dam.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank you.